Vancouver, and a welcome home BC Lions, their first game at BC Place since last November because of the World Cup, and the Argos can certainly relate. They've been on the road since the start, and he will get it started too on a Saturday at BC Place in Vancouver. Back with the CFL again as we are underway. Lions to get the ball first, comes down in the hands of Jaden Williams at his 20. 25 and tries to get around the corner, and he cannot. Louis-Philippe Gauthier, the rookie with the Argos, with that tackle. Here's Chase Bryce.
Well, Chase Bryce, a big debut for him as the Lions starting quarterback for the time being in his fourth year with the BC Lions. So backing up Nathan Rourke that entire time. Also had a little bit of time with another very good veteran to learn from in Jeremiah Masoli. He's had a couple of offensive coordinators here, obviously Buck Pierce currently, Jordan Maksimic previously. So we know he has been well-schooled, well-prepared for this opportunity.
Two backs in the backfield. It goes to James Butler, who did not have a very productive day last week against the Edmonton Elks. Here's a look, closer one at the offense of the BC Lions.
Yeah, with the release of veteran tackle Dejan Allen this week, the former All-Star let go. Josh Donovan, former Montreal Alouette, takes over as the starting right tackle. And the rookie Nick Senecal, mid-round draft pick this year. Highly regarded prospect, but a guy who slipped down in the pre-draft process. Off to a terrific start here in his rookie year. 19 catches, second on the team with 8 second down grabs.
Bryce to pass on second down, and that one goes incomplete. Nearest target is Keon Hatcher. And so a 2 and out. A 3rd and 7 coming up. And Carl Meyer will come on to punt it away.
No surprise to see BC out of the gate. Try to run the football on first down, get James Butler involved a little bit. As you said, a pretty quiet day for him at a time where they could have used that ground production to take a little bit of pressure off Chase Bryce with Nathan Rourke out of the lineup last week.
Yeah, Butler had only 4 yards rushing and 7 carries last week at Edmonton. Here's Meyer. Janarian Grant back in the Argo lineup, missing a week with a knee injury. 59-yard punt. And here goes Grant, going to the left, turns it up, has something going. Up near the 50, he is just tripped up, shy of midfield. Otherwise, he had something more in store. On a good return as it was, 31 yards for the Argos in business to start near midfield.
Yeah, terrific field position. That's the punter, Carl Meyer, who managed to grab the shoestrings there and bring down Janarian Grant. But nonetheless, terrific starting field position. Quarterback Chad Kelly and the Toronto Argonauts offense. Take a look at those numbers. You'd love the 15 touchdown passes. One concern, those 9 interceptions. But
he was picked off once last week in Hamilton. He hands off, and that is Kevin Mittal, slot back, who has a running play right there and picks up about 5-6 yards for the Argos.
And taking a look at that offensive line, a little bit of a shuffle. Peter DeCastro from center to right guard. The rookie Domenico Piazza out of McGill makes the start at center. And in the receiving corps, terrific group. Keep an eye on Tyler Common. 5 touchdowns for him on the season. Has had his second 100-yard game of the season last week. 106 yards in that loss to Hamilton.
Quite the productive receiving corps. And this Argo team, as Kelly's fleshed out, rolls right. Downfield it goes. It's caught. Strikes Coxie right away. And a first down deeper in the Lions zone.
Yeah, off schedule here. You get a little bit of a sense of the chemistry between Coxie and his quarterback, Chad Kelly. Kelly flush from the pocket, works to the outside, knows exactly where Coxie's at.
Goes right back to Coxie, too. Down at the 20, and another first down. So back-to-back strikes. First a 21-yarder, then a 14-yarder to Coxie.
Now the Argos going with a little bit of tempo right out of the gate here offensively.
Isaiah Smith, the running back beside him, but it is whistled down. And before
Procedure,
they can get it off.
Toronto, number 61. It's a 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
To a flag on the right tackle, Brandon Kemp there.
We'll Take a quick look at this BC defense. Still looking for Matthew Betts to have that breakout game. Getting after the quarterback here in 2026. Deontay Williams, physical presence, something of a tone setter for the Lions D. He's in the nickel linebacker spot. And of course, Jackson Findlay in his second year at free safety from the University of Western Ontario.
Defense did a good job against Edmonton in a narrow loss last week, 19-17. Kelly underneath again. 3 straight plays to Coxie. That one the shortest, though, as it's taken right at the 20 and then a pile, taking him down. It'll be about a 4-yard gain and a 2nd and long ahead.
And the Toronto Argonauts with a rather prolific receiving core, putting up pretty big numbers here to start the 2026 season, but I don't think that there's much question that DeMonte Coxie is Chad Kelly's go-to guy.
Came in with 28 catches for 447 yards. A couple of touchdowns, too. Argos threatening, 2nd down and long. Kelly again down to the end zone, touchdown. Another one who's been prominent in that Argo receiving core is Mackay Polk, and he has himself another touchdown catch this year, number 5 to tie him in the league lead.
And just a beautiful route run here by Mackay Polk. Little stem to the inside, to the outside, and then ducks it back in. So keep an eye, stab out, get the defender to bite, tucks back right in behind him. Perfect timing from Kelly for the score.
Kicking was an issue with Liram Hairolau last week in Hamilton, and he is not in this game. It's Brady Lidster. A shorter kick down to the 20. That's Jaden Williams with it across the 30, 35, and then he is met by a wall by the name of Jack Kassar. One of their special teams tackles leaders hauls him down, and Bryce and that BC offense coming on again. Bryce filling in for Nathan Rourke, a non-throwing shoulder injury last week in Edmonton.
And obviously a rather massive loss to lose the Canadian Football League's reigning most outstanding player at this stage in the season, but it's become the storyline perhaps of the second quarter, middle third of this CFL season, where experienced quarterback play was the story out of the gate. What do you do when these guys get hurt?
Chase Bryce hands off. James Butler, another carry for him as he gets it up across the 40 up against this Toronto Argonaut defense.
Yeah, Toronto Argonaut defense dealing with some injuries. Andrew Chatfield missing from that defensive line this week. You see Sean Lemon, the veteran, making his return to the Canadian Football League.
Back with the Argos for a 3rd time. Lemon, first go around, won a Grey Cup in 2017 in double blue, returned again briefly in 2019. Have been with the Alouettes the last few years. A 4-man rush here on Bryce, and just a little bit too far off the fingertips there of Butler. So again, 2 and out. The Lions will have to punt it away. And there is an injured Lion down in the field. Joshua Donovan pounds the turf here. Is just getting the start at right tackle after they released Dejon Allen, who had been the top offensive lineman in the CFL while with the Argos back in 2023. And a couple of years here in BC, and they let him go this week and put Donovan into the starter's role at right tackle, and this certainly doesn't look too good. Evidently with a leg injury, as he is still down and getting some attention in that game. So they have to punt. It's Carl Meyer back for Janarian Grant. Backpedaling inside his 10, and a great punt of 58 yards. But Grant finds room, sneaks his way through, and gets up to about the 28 before he is tackled. And Chad Kelly, 4 for 4 in the game. And look at the top yardage updated now. Most passing yards a game this season. And Davis Alexander with the Alouettes, who play still to come against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, leading the way.
Yeah, off to a big start. Offense has been pretty successful. We said very prolific for the Toronto Argonauts so far this season. You got to score points if you're going to beat this team. The Argo defense, of course, having some challenges of its own. so far in the early going. You mentioned the kicking game as well, which has played a little bit of a factor in some close outcomes for them.
Up in their 28, scored in their first possession. Kelly, open receiver to David Unger on the far side, and right away, as said, there's quite a selection for Kelly, who's used so many different targets, 5 of them especially, and there's Unger's first catch.
Yeah, moving the pocket around a little bit. Looks like the Argos are going to try to continue with that tempo offense. No huddle. Don't give the BC Lions defense a chance to catch their breath or get their feet underneath them.
Gain 16 up to the 44 with time, and batted away and nearly picked. Deontay Williams might have had a chance for it, but just throwing it short over the middle, and it's knocked away incomplete.
Yeah, it looked like Chad Kelly was kind of trying to baby that one through there a little bit. Trying to place it perfectly, not a lot of velocity there. And Williams able to get a piece of it, maybe a little tip at the line of scrimmage. Gives Deontay Williams a shot at the INT.
Second down and 10. Argos with a 7-0 lead from their 44. Pressure coming. Kelly deep and just a bit too far for Coxie. Coverage was there, and this is typical Chad Kelly, who loves to launch those deep balls. One of the leaders in the CFL, looking for big shots of over 30 yards.
Yeah, and he's going to see as soon as he feels that DeMonte Coxie has a little bit of an advantage here on the defender, a half step. I'd put my faith in number 86 as well. Take that shot every time.
James Burnham in his second game with the Argos with the punt of 54 yards. That's Jaden Williams, and he gets buried there.
Kind of like the history and stability of the CFL.
James Butler, another carry, his third. Bubba Bolden, the safety, coming in to tackle him. Not until he gets up to the 26. Good pickup on first down for Butler.
As we take a look at the Toronto Argonaut defense, Jonathan Kongbo, a British Columbian native, really establishing himself as a starter here with the Toronto Argonauts after being a rotation guy in previous stops. Owen Goss is in at the will linebacker spot. Cameron Judge on the injured list this week. And in the secondary, keep an eye on the boundary half. James Caesar, first-year player, playing at a high level for these Argos, leading the team with 6 knockdowns thus far.
Xander Horvath, the running back, handles short yardage for BC in most cases. That being a 2nd and 1 after the 9-yard pickup by Butler, and looks to have a first down.
Too much about, but finishing with 4 picks in that ball game, but still a chance to win the game in the 4th quarter.
Pressure coming from a Darius Pickett, but he gets it away, and Bryce does complete it to Kieran Poisson. And not an easy pass to make, with Pickett bearing down on him, and a gain of 14 for BC.
Yeah, that one will give Chase Bryce a little bit of confidence here in the 1st quarter. Making the right decision, executing perfectly under pressure, stands in there and throws an absolute dart to Poisson.
And right back at it, pressure coming again. He gets rid of it as the Argos were bearing right down on him. And that one falls incomplete, 2nd down.
Yeah, the right read, right decision with the ball. Just needed it out of there a little bit quicker as the hit coming from his backside. Just as he goes to release that ball, ends up impacting the throw. Nice duck around on the rush there by Jonathan Kongbo, dipping that inside shoulder to get underneath the punch of the offensive tackle.
So 2nd and 10. And the ball up over their 43 now, trailing by 7. Bryce wants to take off, picks up a few yards, gets it up to the 47. But it'll still be a 3rd down coming up here for BC.
3rd down line.
Yeah, Bryce still in the early going, getting a little bit of a feel for what Toronto's defense is showing him. We saw Kongbo with the hit on the quarterback on the previous play. That time he was essentially dropping in coverage as a linebacker. So again, some different looks being shown to Chase Bryce here in his first start.
Carl Meyer with another punt. Janarian Grant lets it bounce, and it rolls, and it goes out of bounds at the 10. A 52-yard punt. And well done for Meyer, as this will push the Argos a little back. Home Home sweet home for the BC Lions.
That he plays in a couple of weeks against Hamilton, but depending on what happens today, I think he could make a real push to play in the game next week on Thursday in Winnipeg. The short week obviously impacts that. However, he did tell me if this was a playoff game, he would find a way to be playing in it. So Nathan Rourke will be back sooner than later.
That was very early in that game in Edmonton, just the second play from scrimmage far on. Noah Taylor got to him, and then say left shoulder, the non-throwing shoulder, the injury. Argo football now up 7, and there's the first catch for Tyler Common. First year in the CFL with Hicks in the backfield, staying in to protect, but Kelly quickly runs out of time, runs out of room. A flag is out, but he is sacked inside the Argo 10. Matthew Betts, the sacks leader for the Lions. Referee Justin McInnes.
Offside, Toronto, number 83. Penalties decline, 3rd down.
So Betts gets another sack.
The quick first step has always been Matthew Betts' calling card. This time throw a twist into the mix, maybe a little bit of confusion along that offensive line as they're unable to get off to pick him up on that loop.
James Burnup, second game of the Argos after being acquired by trade from Ottawa for the injured John Haggerty. A 47-yard punt, and the return is a good one there for Williams. He gets it down inside the 45 of the Argos. So Bryce and the Lions will have their best place to start so far in this game. Down 7, just about in scoring position. 3:22 in the clock until the end of the first quarter.
And we talked off the top about the quiet game that James Butler's Andrew Horvath, the Lions running game in general, had last week in Edmonton, putting a little bit of added pressure, I thought, on Chase Bryce. Be interesting to see if they try to get the ball into the hands of the running back a little bit more here before the end of the first quarter.
And they do here with Butler. Tough sledding. And Parashand is the one who from behind makes that tackle after a 5-yard pickup, though, by Butler, but certainly more productive, as you talked about, than his game in Edmonton, where he had only 4 yards on the ground.
Yeah, short run here, but keep an eye on number 6 for the Argos, Darius Pickett, as he kind of came up hobbling on this play and still down on a knee.
Darius Pickett back in Toronto this season after a couple of years in Ottawa in 2023 with the Double Blue. He had been one of the top defensive players in the Canadian Football League, part of that 16-2 regular season Toronto club.
You see Pickett stepping up to take on the block and takes a pretty good shot there from the much larger Chris Schlugger. Getting his bell rung a little bit, but looks a little more steady on his feet as he heads for the sidelines.
That was a gain of 5. It is 2nd and 5 here for BC. They have it inside the Argo 40. There's Greg Quick, the defensive coordinator of the Toronto Argonauts. Butler beside him. Bryce to throw. Has time. Off to the left. It's caught. Keon Hatcher has his first catch of this game. And that is good enough for a BC first down.
We talk all the time about complementary football. So we see Keon Hatcher lined up out wide here. Corner is pulled off by the inside receiver, allowing Hatcher to just sit it down. But you know, the BC Lions kind of conservative to start things off here. Their defense, after giving up the early touchdown, doing a good job against Toronto, winning on special teams in terms of that field position battle, giving Chase Bryce a pretty good starting spot here as he settles into this ball game.
Well, back to the ground to Butler, and just a couple of yards there. So 2nd and long, and Darius Pickett is now heading off to the Argo dressing room after that hit, that helmet-to-helmet collision with Chris Schlugger. It's Isaac D'Arcangelo, the middle linebacker. getting that position after Winton McManus moved on to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So changes in the linebacking core, and
yeah, you'll see Derek Sluka in primarily at pick and spot.
Quickly throwing, completing another one. A flag comes out after Jermaine Jackson got the catch and got it down to the Argo 22. Like an offside coming up against the Argos, and that was very close to the first down mark. There's Sluka, who had a lot of games at safety in the Toronto defense last year, but rotating around, they love his versatility.
Offside, Toronto defensive line. Penalty is declined. First down.
As announced by the referee, Justin McInnes today.
We'll take a look at this quick hitter to Jermaine Jackson.
First down BC, down at the Argo 22. Deepest they've gone so far in this young ball game, heading into the final minute of the first quarter. Chase Bryce, first CFL start, back to Butler, turns it back to the right, and through the middle he finds a hole, and he feathers his way through inside the 15, and a good pickup on first down.
Yeah, nice backfield action here in order to help create a little bit of space. You'll see Hatcher and Bryce sort of showing that boot action out to the right side. That's going to keep the ends from crashing down, try and loosen things up in the middle for Butler to bang it up there in between the tackles.
Well, he got 9 yards to get it down to the 13, and so far he has 6 carries for 34. Much better than last week in Edmonton. Short yardage again. Bryce hands off to Xander Horvath, who sometimes we see standing in at quarterback to deal with the short yardage, this time as a running back to pick up that yard and see if they can move the sticks.
Horvath, a big load, 6'3", 230 pounds.
It is a first down. Drive continues. And they get closer, and Nathan Rourke approves. Right down to the 12. This will be the last play of the opening quarter. BC coming in at 1-4. An 0-3 start. Then beat Edmonton and Kelowna, and then lost to Edmonton last week at Commonwealth. Looking to turn things around. Butler again. All stuffed up. Tries to break loose and does for a moment. And manages to get something out of it. They had him behind the line of scrimmage. Sean Lemon was there, but he managed to squeak by and taken over at right tackle. And Una in at guard. 8th play of the drive, and the Lions are knocking on the door. 2nd and 8, just inside the Argo 10. Bryce looks to the end zone, to the back of it, and no. Good coverage there. He's looking for Justin McInnes. Deshaun Amos was there. Couple of defenders for the Argos. It goes too far.
Yeah, a lot of traffic in the middle of the end zone. Chase Bryce putting his faith in the large frame of 6'6" receiver Justin McInnes here.
So Sean White in his 17th season, 11 for 12 in the year, and a chip shot for him just outside the 15, up and through, and the Lions have their first points of the game and their first game back at BC Place in 2026. Argos lead cut into by 4.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by The Score Bet, an official gaming partner of the CFL.
Rod Smith, Dwayne Ford, Farhan Lalji here at BC Place, and Mike Miller in the Argos said if there's a team that can commiserate with the Lions for starting their season with a long road trip, it is certainly Toronto. They have the bye next week, and then they're back home at BMO Field finally. Here's Chad Kelly going to work. It looked like it was touched coming out of his hands and nearly caught anyway by Mackay Polk. but instead it falls incomplete, and we got a flag down around the 45 of Toronto.
Yeah, it looked to be Matthew Betts getting a good jump on his pass rush that impacted the trajectory of this football. Good to see again. Good get off, rip through. Just getting a piece of the right arm of Chad Kelly on his follow through as you saw that ball taking a little bit of an awkward flight.
Yeah, it definitely took a lot off the Kelly pass, and still Polk nearly the chance to bring it down. And we have a flag out. They're still discussing it. Kelly wants to join the discussion by the looks of things. You see, sorted out. The fact that he's smiling makes you think it might be going against BC. We'll see. Ronald Kent Jr. trying to get his ear close enough to find out what's going on as well. They're taking a while to sort this one out. Mike Benavides, defensive coordinator for BC. It is against the Lions. They're
Illegal
marching it off.
substitution, BC, number 42. It's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
So Parker McKenna listed as the will linebacker. Keep an eye on the sidelines. There's McKenna sneaking onto the field just as the play starts. So an illegal substitution there. The issue.
Argos at the 50. It's caught by Unger. He turns it up. He gets pushed out just across midfield by Ronald Kent. A gain of 8 for the Argos.
So Chad Kelly opened this game just on fire, completing 4 consecutive passes, the 4th of which was a touchdown strike to Mackay Polk. Argos unable to get much offensive traction since then.
The next 2 drive after that ended with punts, but they are into the Lions zone now, and Kelly's throwing again and completing another to Kevin Mittal, who had been their leading receiver. Has mentioned it a bunch, all close together statistically, along with Coxie and Polk and Unger and Common not too far behind. So Mittal with a catch to get it down, and they're quickly over the ball. This is up to the BC 46 now, and a 1st and 10. Kelly over the middle and caught again. So getting in that rhythm to Mackay Polk. A little slow to get up, but another catch and another 1st down for the Argos. Well, there it is, that attack. The top 3 especially, all projected to go over 1,000 this season. Mittal and Coxie and Polk, and what a season they're having so far.
Yeah, again, you mentioned Tyler Common, David Unger not far behind. And you consider Jake Kerslow, who was such a threat in the back half of last season, hasn't even played yet this year.
Swings it out to Mittal, who was tackled there by Deontay Williams right at the 30.
Chad Kelly directing traffic a little bit. There's Mackay Polk stretching out. Takes a little bit of a shot at the end of that one. Recognizes that comes with the territory, going into the danger zones a little bit to make a big play for your team.
Ball just inside the 30, so a gain just maybe a couple of inches on that last pass to Mackay Polk. There we go, 2nd down and long. Argos looking to respond after the Lions drove down for a field goal. 4-man rush. Kelly to his right and right back to Kevin Mittal down at the 25, but not nearly enough for a 1st down. It looks like we will see the field goal unit for Toronto coming on.
A little bit of movement there for the Toronto Argonauts, but it'll be the rookie Brady Lidster already with his 1st career CFL point.
Interesting technique, 40 lining up that kick as he's down on a knee. So The kicking unit sees a second change in as many weeks with Burnham filling in for Haggerty, the punter, and holding here for Lidster, who is...
Time count violation. Toronto, number 14. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
So they'll push him back a little bit longer. Mickey Donovan, the special teams coordinator.
Well, Brady Lidster hit a couple from 50 plus during his U Sports career, all Canadian during his time at Windsor. Getting things lined up again. 8th round pick of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year, went to camp, played in the preseason with them. Released before being brought in by the Argos.
First CFL field goal try for Brady Lidster, and he puts it through, and the Argos with that restore their 7-point lead. They want to hang on to that ball. The rookie gets 3 for the Argos. Wide open, and the ball comes out after he lands, and Benji Franklin falls on it. That was completed to Xander Horvath, and the biggest passing play for Chase Bryce in this game. And the officials discussed because Horvath caught it, he went down, and the ball came out. "32 yards. They ruling the receiver was down. Franklin, who had an interception last week against the Ticats. There's still, Justin McKenna still discussing the ruling here that the units do not change.
The ruling on the field is the BC receiver was down by contact at the 38-yard line. It's going to be first down, BC.
Xander Horvath lining up as a tight end. And this is actually a very close call, as you're going to see, as Horvath kind of gets flipped here. I would say that the elbow is down before the ball is out.
And then the Argo 38, biggest offensive play for BC in this one. Back to Butler, no, a little fake. And then dumped off to Keon Hatcher inside the 35 of the Argos. So they've been using Butler a lot and setting him up with a fake. Throwing it off to Hatcher. Second down now after that 4-yard pickup.
Yeah. This is the extension of that run game that we talked about in the first quarter. How this helps you as a quarterback. It helps your offensive line in terms of protecting the quarterback. You force that defensive front to honor the run, buys you a little bit more time, makes it easier for the big guys up front to protect, but also just opens up some pass options off the run game.
Here's Bryce now in the second down and 6. Gets it away. It's caught, turning back, turning it up. Jermaine Jackson, and a first down for BC near the Toronto 20. 12 more yards for the Lions offense.
Yeah, Jackson recognizes that Sluka is sort of pursuing from the inside out on him. So he anticipates as that ball is coming in, he's going to make that escape move to the inside. Dodges the oncoming defender. Set the Lions up with another first down.
Jermaine Jackson in his second year in the CFL out of Idaho. That's Xander Horvath, the ball carrier. He had the catch, ruled down by contact a couple of plays ago, and he's got another running play and a short gain, if any gain at all, there for BC. No gain.
It was second and long. The Lions will move from that 2-back set into their traditional 5-receiver offensive unit.
Buck Pierce, second season as head coach after many years as an assistant offensive coordinator with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Once a quarterback here with BC. There it is, second and long. Bryce with time, looks to the end zone, no. He had a receiver in Kieran Poisson who had broken away to the left, but it's a bit too far, and the field goal unit will come on again.
Yeah, a little bit off with the throw. Obviously, you hate to see the opportunity missed when you're Buck Pearson, the BC Lions coaching staff. On a positive note, you know, where you've got Chase Bryce coming off the 4-interception game, you're glad to see him making the right read, making the right decision on where to go with the football. You just hope that execution tightens up a little bit as the game goes on.
Sean White, second field goal of the night, or the afternoon here in Vancouver. He's 2 for 2, and you can have the chocolate Farhan, and Dwayne and I'd like some. I don't think Chad's having any. Looks
Not till after
amazing.
the show.
What a great player he was, too. They set up a screen now. There's the first touch for Sam Hicks, the first-year running back for the Argos, as he picks up a couple of yards now with the Argos having a 4-point lead over BC.
Yeah, Chad Owens.
One thing to do, man. Win.
He had a pretty good run in the Canadian Football League, and most particularly with the Toronto Argonauts.
See, he was throwing those touchdown passes, too. First, it was Trevor Harris.
Yeah.
And then Ricky Ray, of course. And some great years. He wasn't an Argo for long, but boy, his candle burned bright. As mentioned, 2012, the year they won the Grey Cup over Calgary. And he happened to be the most outstanding player in the CFL that year.
Yeah, league MOP, and eventually a Canadian Football Hall of Famer.
It's Colby Taylor, defensive
Offside,
lineman.
BC, number 49. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Called for the offside. And second down, but much shorter now on that hard count by Kelly.
Yeah, you'll see him at the top of the line. A little bit of rookie excitement, perhaps.
Up to the 47 now in a 2nd and 3. Kelly underneath, but enough. That's Kevin Mittal. You'd have fond memories in this stadium as a rookie who scored a touchdown in the Grey Cup 2 years ago in their victory over Winnipeg. Run tempo quickly over the ball. 6:40 till halftime. First down, Kelly. Soft toss, and back to Mittal. The coverage was there, so close. Looked like Jackson Finley was right with him, but he hung on to the ball, and the sticks move again.
Yeah, and I kind of expected that as Kelly takes this ball around to the left, that he's going to look to Mackay Polk coming across the formation in the flat. He sees defenders starting to flow towards Polk, adjusts his throwing motion to go inside.
They go tempo again. Deep look, wide open touchdown. Mackay Polk, and Kelly with a deep ball strikes again. 44 yards. Another deep shot by number 12, and the Argos increase their lead.
Yeah, as I said, could have gone to Polk in the flat on the last one. Tells him I'll get you later with something better. And here it is over the top to Mackay Polk, who has his second touchdown of the ball game. And 15 Polk working out of the slot here. Little step to the inside, then takes it north-south. Get in behind TJ Lee for the 6.
And with that, Mackay Polk is now the leader in touchdown catches in the Canadian Football League. Yet 4 coming in, plus 2 in this game. 6 TDs, Mackay Polk on the season. Here's Lidster for the point after. And so 7 more on the board for the Argos, who've now increased their lead over the Lions.
Here, TJ Lee, the halfback on that side. You're just going to see with this little step to the slant, he's going to get Lee to turn his hips, ducks back outside, gets him turned around and chasing. By that time, Polk is in behind him, and Chad Kelly recognizes it, lays it on the receiver for the touchdown.
Argos up 11 now. Under 6 minutes to go to halftime. Jaden Williams on the return. Another special teams tackle there by DeMarcus Johnson. There you go. The touchdown standings now came in 1 behind, and see, Sam Emelis had quite a week as well, but Tyler Common had been alone at 5, but now lots of company.
Yeah, absolutely. Mackay Polk, you think back, 2024 season, took him a little while to get going, but down the stretch of that 24 season, the hottest receiver in the Canadian Football League, missed the first part of last year exploring his NFL options.
And Butler, numbers not too bad in this first half overall. Another shorter game for James Butler.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be important for the BC Lions throughout this football game to be patient, be persistent in terms of their use of James Butler, Xander Horvath, and that running game. as part of the formula to put Chase Bryce in the best possible position to be successful here in his first start.
Well, he opened it up. Chase Bryce did a little bit more in that last possession, 6 for 11, 76 yards. Had a longer completion to Horvath. They're down though, 17-6 over the middle, and that is complete. And that is Jermaine Jackson. He takes a hit there from Bubba Bolden. First down.
Lots of noise on that hit. I have a feeling a lot of that was friendly fire, though. I actually think Jackson managed to get out of the way. Two Argo defenders clashed.
It's up to the BC 47 now. 4:19 and counting until halftime. Bryce quickly to the left, and that one is caught by Butler, who adds a catch, and Owen Goss in on the tackles. They get across the 50, and about 5 more yards for BC.
Yeah, chipping away a little bit, trying to work that underneath game. See if they can try to create another opportunity for an explosive type play as they did when hitting Xander Horvath last series.
Close to midfield. 2nd and 5. Deep look to the right for Hatcher. And right there is Deshaun Amos as it was coming in. Broken up nicely by Amos back in Argo double blue after spending a year away with the Ticats. And there's Bolden helping out as well. So he went head over heels.
Keon Hatcher working out of the slot here. Good outside release, working towards that corner. Pretty good recovery there by Amos to get a hand on it. Bubba Bolden going airborne as he was scrambling over there in support.
Good athletic move by Bolden, flipping over the signage. Carl Meyer to punt it away. Janarian Grant chased all the way to the sideline and has no choice. Very well placed punt by the South African Carl Meyer of 51 yards, and no options there for Janarian. Standing by in the studio, Laura Dyken, Lapo, Milton, the multi-talented Enoch Mwamba. Standing by, here's Chad Kelly going to work again. The Argos with an 11-point lead intended there for Ungerer. Falls incomplete.
A big opportunity here for the BC Lions to try and close the gap before halftime. Terrific punt by Carl Meyer to pin Janarian Grant. The Argos deep in their own territory. If the defense can hold here on 2nd and long and get a 2 and out, an opportunity to get the ball back in pretty good field position, maybe get points on the board before they go to the break.
And out of the break, the Argos will get the ball to start the second half. 2nd and 10 and Toronto 7. They're deep in their zone. Kelly trying to get him out of it, and that'll help. The catch there by Coxey. DeMonte Coxey with another one. Well, we showed you how far they have traveled to start this season. Through their first 6 games, and this has been the result life on the road. They had that close loss in Montreal, couple of wins, including one at Mosaic, and then gave up a lot of points against Calgary. And Winnipeg, they lost. So 3 losses in a row, and that one in Hamilton, the biggest heartbreaker on a missed field goal try in the final play that would have won it for Mike Miller and the Argos. So trying to get back in the win column and head home at 3 and 4. And they're leading right now, and that's Isaiah Smith, the rookie out of Guelph, with a good carry there. 11 yards for Smith, and that's enough for the first down. 2:36 until halftime.
Yeah, Isaiah Smith, the 11th overall pick in the 2026 draft, top-rated running back prospect in this draft class. Big-bodied back, sharing that backfield so far this season with the American Sam Hicks.
From the 35 now, Kelly. They've got some breathing room. He's going to take off, and he slides. And Parker McKenna moving in, and the Argos take exception to that as Kelly looks like he is hurt. Kelly is still down. Tempers are flaring. Kelly slid fairly quickly, and finally the flags start coming out, a bunch of them, as the extracurriculars just keep going. Kelly is clearly hurt. He has taken his helmet off. Darnell Sankey was involved. You saw Parker McKenna, 42, coming in as well for BC. And things heated there as the Argos are just hoping their quarterback is okay.
Kelly gives himself up on the slide. You know, I'm curious to see the replay on this. As I felt it watching this live that you're going to call the late hit because of the timing, but it actually seemed as if the biggest impact is between Sankey and McKenna coming from opposite directions. But Sankey does catch Kelly in the helmet. I think that's where the injury to Kelly comes from, is Sankey's sort of upper arm, elbow catches Kelly in the head as he's going down.
And it looks more neck than it does actual head, as he's trying to stretch it out, and he gets an escort off the field. So Nick Arbuckle, the MVP on this very field of the Grey Cup in 2024, when he filled in for Chad Kelly late that season after a Kelly broken leg, and Arbuckle ended up starting most of the games last year. Kelly didn't play at all in 25 because of that 2024 injury.
And solid season for Nick Arbuckle in 2025, filling in for Kelly, veteran backup. I think the way things have gone around the CFL this season, every team would love to have a Nick Arbuckle.
Yeah, the way we were at the game in Montreal when Kelly suffered that brutal leg injury against the Alouettes. Arbuckle came on and helped them secure that victory and moving on to the Grey Cup. And the unlikely starter, it was such an unlikely story, and he went on and played a very good game, and he ended up being named the most valuable player of that Grey Cup when they beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right here at this very stadium. I remember talking to him about that last year when they were coming here, and he's just not that sentimental a guy, but I'd always assumed that this place would have some
There were multiple
meaning to
fouls
him.
on the previous play. Roughing the passer, BC number 53. We have offsetting UR misconduct fouls on Toronto, number 52, and BC, number 21. It'll be an automatic first down for Toronto.
All right, as announced by Justin McKinnis, sorting that out. The big one that makes the difference yardage-wise, the roughing the passer on Chad Kelly that's put him out of the game for now with Arbuckle in, and the ball at midfield, still 2:18 to go until halftime.
And here's a look you'll see coming from the far side of your screen, top of your screen. You see how the shot from Darnell Sankey, not necessarily a high impact hit, but how that kind of bent the neck of Chad Kelly a little bit awkwardly. Kelly currently in the tent on the Argos sideline under observation. Nick Arbuckle into the game with the ball at midfield.
And here we go for a net gain of 20. Throwing underneath, caught by Unger, but he is tackled nicely there by Parker McKenna, who was involved along with Sankey on that play on Kelly the play before.
Yeah, Parker, the rookie, finished up his college career at Washington State after starting off at Portland State. In terms of size, you know, prototypical CFL linebacker. Highly productive guy, though, during his NCAA career. About 6 feet, 6'1", 225 pounds.
And getting the opportunity with the injury to Ben Hladek. Pressure coming on the blitz. Arbuckle, he can't get away from Matthew Betts, who has his second sack of the game and his 5th of the season. Last year's Defensive Player of the Year, Matthew Betts, forces a 3rd down and long, and Toronto will have to punt it with 1:51 on the clock.
Well, we talked about Matthew Betts sort of looking for that game to kickstart his 2026 season. He's had a couple big plays in the early going here. Mike Benavidez moving his best pass rusher around a little bit to try and free him up, get him going. That time Betts coming from off the line.
The punt from the Aussie, James Burnham, inside the 10, a 50-yarder. And that's Jaden Williams on the return, and you string him out and take him down right at the 10. Ryan Haralamana, the special teams tackle, and another Argo is down, injured on that punt coverage. That is 27, Owen Goss, who is also the weak side linebacker starting for Toronto with the injury to Cameron Judge. So this is a starting defensive player getting attention right now.
Yes, this will lead to a little more shuffling in terms of defensive personnel. Watch for 27 reaching to make the tackle. Just got that left arm overextended.
So we see 40, Derek Sluka, number 20, is in. He came in when Adarius Pickett got hurt, but Pickett has since returned, and Sluka is still out there, and Benji Franklin too, also in the dressing room. Some key injuries for the Argo defense.
Leading to much shuffling of their personnel. Talked about the versatility earlier of Sluka, and he's a guy you can plug in at multiple spots. Back there, a starter last year at safety. Mentioned we've already seen him in at the Sam or nickel spot in this ball game, likely coming in at will now for Owen Goss.
You saw Greg Quick before, the defensive coordinator. There's Greg on the right there with Isaac D'Arcangelo. A longtime coach in college in the United States and a good friend of Jim Barker's. He came to the CFL with the Argos in 2010 and coached with a variety of teams, including Saskatchewan and Montreal, winning a Grey Cup in 2023 and then returning. This is his third go-around with the Argos and now as defensive coordinator. But as you point out, he's had to do some juggling here.
Well, he has. And, you mentioned as well, Benji Franklin dealing with an injury. So that leads to Tarvaris McFadden moves from the field corner position over to the boundary side, and the rookie Louis-Philippe Gauthier from the Montreal Canadiens, the third-round pick in this year's draft. He's going to move in at field corner. We've seen him play a chunk of defensive snaps in the first part of his rookie CFL season here, so he's going to get probably some extended action here as we wait to hear about Benji Franklin.
And two new additions up front defensively for the Argos, and Sean Lemon and Dwayne Hendricks, who'd been with the Lions last year, back with the Argos. And the defense does a pretty good job there. Late in the half, 1:31 on the clock. Gain of just 2 yards for James Butler. A 2nd and 8 coming up.
Yeah, we talked about the veteran Sean Lemon, a guy who's had many stops over the course of his Canadian Football League career. Back for a third go-round with the Toronto Argonauts. But Dwayne Hendricks as well on that D-line. Hendricks had signed with Toronto as a free agent this offseason. Was just released, but they brought him back as they've had some injuries to that group.
BC 6 for 12 and second down conversions. Pressure, they've got him. Well, talking about that defensive line, it's Parrish, Shand, and Hendricks coming in. Shand, the rookie, getting in on the act there, and an important sack for that Toronto defense late in the half as BC will have to kick it away.
Seeing Parrish Shand in at defensive end. 19th overall pick in the 2025 CFL draft. Spent last season exploring some NFL opportunities, had a look with the Buffalo Bills. Joined the Argos this season. They decided to turn one of their defensive end spots into a Canadian spot in terms of the ratio, bringing on Jonathan Kongbo in free agency. They also have last year's first-round pick, Jeremiah Ojo, currently on the injured list, but Parrish Shand getting some action in that D-line rotation.
And his first CFL sack, and that's a 60-yard punt. But here comes Janarian Grant. Doing it again. Finally taken down inside the BC 40. 34 seconds left. They got a new kicker in. Already has a field goal in this game, and he could have a shot at another one before halftime.
Yeah, a couple minutes ago, I was talking about the opportunity for the BC Lions to put points on the board before the end of the half in terms of the exchange of field position that happens in the kicking game. But here you have Janarian Grant, who can be such a great equalizer, fielding this one in his own territory, returning it to give Nick Arbuckle in the offense an opportunity here with 34 seconds to go in the opening half.
Arbuckle is in because of the injury to Chad Kelly. A little slip there, thinking of Uncle Jim.
You having flashbacks?
Yeah. The way he's been throwing it around this season, especially 11 yards on that pickup by DeMonte Coxey, so they get closer. Certainly field goal range. Thinking of more than that. 24-6 until halftime. Arbuckle and a screen to Isaiah Smith. Off to the left. To the 20, cuts it back inside and down to the 15. They get close. 13 seconds until halftime.
Yeah, I think Smith was initially thinking he'd like to try and get the first down, maybe get out of bounds here. But he gets held up, turned back inside, just fights to get what he can.
Second time to the red zone. Arbuckle off to the left. It is caught, turning it up. Ungerer down near. Well, he gets to about the 2, and the push stopped there, and time is up. We got zeros on the clock here in that play.
That's half.
They had only 13 seconds left, and instead of going out of bounds, and Mike Miller is still hoping that he gets a tick to get a field goal try, but they're heading to the dressing room. Ungerer caught it and turned it up, and the final seconds of the half ticked away, and a missed opportunity for 3 more points for the Argos.
And a rather massive bullet dodge there by the BC Lions defense.
It's a 17-6 game, and the Lions will kick off. The Argos get the ball first. There is Janarian Grant back after missing last week's game against Hamilton with a knee injury, and he is back there with Sam Hicks. Toronto looking for their 3rd win of the season, as they too will be finally heading home after a bye next week and getting to BMO Field. And here is Grant taking it at the 20, across the 40, across the 50, and near midfield before he's finally tackled by the kicker Carl Meyer. Nick Arbuckle in for the injured Chad Kelly. We remember this looking back 2 years ago when he was thrust into the starter's role, ended up being the Grey Cup MVP in Toronto's victory.
Yeah, culmination. We talked about him coming on in relief at Chad Kelly in the East Final that year. Hadn't played a lot through the season, but was certainly ready to go at the most important time. Great moment for the veteran Nick Arbuckle, Grey Cup MVP 2024.
Great insurance policy with Kelly, the second leading passer in the league, out with a neck injury. And that one is caught and near a first down for DeMonte Coxey, who had led in receptions in the first half for Toronto, and that's a gain of 10 yards. Second and inches, so just about 10 yards. 10 yards minus just a couple.
No big bodies into the game here for the Toronto Argonauts.
I'm used to seeing Nick Arbuckle come in on occasion in the short yardage plays, and stays in here now. And handing off, and it stopped right at where they needed to be, and then an extra lunge anyway. They did get the first down. And that was Isaiah Smith, the rookie, with the football.
Yeah, I wondered, being a second down rather than a third down situation, if the Argos might take the free shot there, particularly given the field position on their opponent's side of midfield. But playing it safe, get the first down, live to fight another day. Argos looking to make the most here after a missed opportunity to put some points on the board right at the end of the first half.
To open the second half, it is knocked away coming in, and that is TJ Lee out of the secondary coming in and getting the hands up on Arbuckle to deflect it away, and it's a second down and 10.
Well, the veteran TJ Lee rejoined this team last year to bring a little bit of a veteran presence, provide a little bit of stability to that secondary group.
Which certainly matters, since Gary Peters, their long-standing veteran in that secondary, has been injured and out. From the 45, some heat's coming here in Arbuckle. Steps up, straight arms to get away, and then takes off. The running Nick Arbuckle gets gets it down to the 35 and got himself a first down for the Argos.
Not exactly a noted runner, but Nick Arbuckle's a guy who's always been a solid athlete. And there you see. Full Heisman there to evade the defensive lineman.
Nick Arbuckle, running back. Here he is now, throwing off to the right. It's caught. It's Ungerer, who caught that ball at the end of the half, and you could tell with the look in his face, lamenting the fact that he didn't get out of bounds or didn't get in the end zone because they ran out of time. But he has 7 yards there. One of the top receivers for the Argos. One of the many top receivers for the Argos.
Yeah, Dave Ungerer, guy initially a Hamilton Tiger Cat draft pick back in 2019, 11th overall pick in the CFL draft. Never really broke out with Hamilton. Used primarily in that Z receiver spot, but the Argos giving him a chance to do a little bit more.
2nd and 3, off to the left, wide open. Ungerer again, wrestled out of bounds there by C.J. Colden, but not before another first down, close to the BC 15 as the Argos come out of the gate in the second half, looking to add more points.
Nick Arbuckle operating with efficiency. A guy who's enjoyed really his greatest successes in the Canadian Football League when he and Ryan Dinwiddie have been together, but finding some continuity here under Mike Miller, veteran, experienced guy in terms of his work with quarterbacks at all levels of football throughout his career.
Quickly to the right and no, incomplete. That's Ungerer again, the intended receiver, but a little bit low. Couldn't hang on in this third trip to the red zone here for the Argos.
Look back at the end of the first half. Dave Ungerer caught that pass with just a few seconds left in the first half. Made the decision to try and score rather than getting out of bounds and getting the clock stopped.
At 40, it certainly didn't help on the tackle that he stayed up for a little bit too as that clock was ticking away. Go down right away. 8th play of this drive. Argos pressing. Arbuckle running out of time again. He shovels it off to Smith, who couldn't hang on. That's a forward pass. It's an incomplete pass as Smith could not catch it. And now we're looking at a field goal situation for Toronto.
And Smith got his hands on it, probably a little bit caught off guard by the underhand flip there from his quarterback.
Wanted to turn upfield, didn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say more than anything, yeah, guilty of wanting to run before he had full control of that football.
Brady Lidster, first CFL game, he's 1 for 1. Put down by James Burnham, put through by Lidster in his debut. 2 for 2. There's 3 more on the board, and it's time in the second half. His numbers 40, 8 of 14 for 89 yards so far.
Yeah, and definitely some flashes, but a slow start for Chase Bryce in this one. Took him a little while to get going. Seemed like maybe once they got James Butler in that ground game activated a little bit, Bryce found some momentum, but look for the young quarterback here to find a little bit more consistency.
Throwing now on first down, completing it to Kieran Poisson. Gets hit there by James Caesar, and the tackle there by Derek Sluka, but good pickup of 9 yards, 2nd and short ahead.
Poisson taking a little bit of a shot on that one. Caesar steps up and caught him under the chin with that one.
Poisson had missed a couple of games with a hip injury suffered in Hamilton, came back last week in Edmonton. So short yardage, and Butler, and it is not happening. He gets pushed back. That was on a 2nd down, and now we got a 3rd and longer. And a good stand there by the Argo defense as the punting unit comes on with Carl Meyer.
Yeah, as things got stacked up at the point of attack, James Butler tries to bounce it to the outside, but he found himself even more badly outnumbered on the perimeter as the Argos quickly rallied to the football.
Fourth 2 and out of the game for the BC offense. Meyer to punt. Back for it. There are 2 returners along with Janarian Grant. It is David Unver. And this one is sailing Grant's way. At the 10, a 53-yard punt. Goes to the left. Cuts it back up, and good coverage there on special teams by the Lions as he just gets up to the 15. By committee, 7 for 10 since taking over from the injured Chad Kelly. And yeah, we got some early movement. Matthew Betts tried the hard count, and Betts jumped, and flags came out.
Like the
procedure.
Argos.
Toronto, number 68. Half the distance to the goal. Remains first down.
Well, Betts moved for a reason because of the movement on the Argo O-line.
Saw a little lean there from the left tackle, Desmond Bland.
Pushes him back to the 2. And a short one off to the right to Mittal, who runs up to the 10. Kevin Mittal in his 3rd year out of Laval, about 9 yards. One of the top picks in the CFL draft in 2024, and as mentioned, went on to win a Grey Cup in his rookie year and scored a touchdown right here at BC Place in that game.
Followed that up with a monstrous campaign in 2025 as he became a starter, over 100 receptions for him last year.
And a great start statistically in this year, and pressure coming, and it's short of Coxie on that 2nd down and 4. So the second 2 and out for the Argos as they will be forced to punt it away deep in their zone. Lions should get it back in pretty good shape.
And you're going to see the blitzing linebacker here, 42, Parker McKenna, right on the left side of your screen. Gets his hands up, impacts the throwing lane for Nick Arbuckle on that one.
James Burnap, the punter for the Argos, Jaden Williams. And just inside the BC 50 after a 52-yard punt, and good coverage there. Derek Sluka and Adarius Pickett to take down Williams. BC football trailing by 14 halfway. Start last season, it really came on though, and Nathan Rourke, a big part of that, of course, and can't play in this game because of a shoulder injury last week. Here's Chase Price going to work. Sean Lemon, who has over 100 sacks in his career, gets his first since returning to the Argonauts. This is his first game back, and he's known for sacking quarterbacks, and he adds this to his total there.
Yeah, Sean Lemon, number 42, doing what he does best. Just keeps the motor running after he gets around the edge, and no doubt this one's going to feel pretty good for Sean Lemon. Been a long time coming.
I believe that's career 104 for Sean Lemon. 2nd and 21. Bryce flushed out, throws it, caught on the run there by Butler. Doesn't get all of it back. A good pickup, but it'll still be short of the first down. They got 18 yards, and it's 3rd down ahead here.
Buck Pierce kind of waiting for the spot here.
Let's see where they put it down. It's across midfield into the Argos zone, but they had to get to the Toronto 50.
Yeah, offense is staying out there.
Well, 2 touchdowns down, and they're at the 53. They need 3 yards. A 3rd down coming up here for Pierce and Chase Price and that Lions offense. Within 5 yards, will they just try to draw them off and get it with an offside? Let's see. No, they're playing. And there's pressure, and there's a deep shot. And that was for McInnes in behind Bubba Bolden, but it's too far. And BC turns it over on downs. Toronto will take over close to midfield. The first turnover of the night. A turnover on downs.
Yeah, a little bit of a calculated risk here. You're going to see McInnes working to the corner, but given the field position, the score, maybe feeling like they wanted to try and get some momentum here, but just unable to connect.
And news from the Argonauts, the Chad Kelly, injured in the first half, is officially done for the day. A flag coming out here before the Argos could run a play. Darnell Sankey, who took the penalty on the hit on Kelly back late in the first half. Sankey was a teammate of Sean Lemon with the Alouettes.
Delay a game, BC, number 53. It's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
So a delay a game against Darnell Sankey there, and that moves the Argos up to the 47 of the Lions. Mentioning those, Sankey and Lemon were key additions in 23 for the Alouettes. Here's what happened.
Yeah, watch for Darnell Sankey, the middle linebacker, realizes they're a player short on defense. So he goes and intentionally touches the ball, goes offside in effect.
Faking the handoff and throwing is Arbuckle, connecting to Mackay Polk, who's had a very good night with a couple of touchdowns in the first half, and there's his fourth catch. 12-yard pickup.
Well, this is the thing with the Toronto Argonauts. The fact is, they come in with a losing record. Their offense has been, as a whole, pretty good. Explosive, able to put points up on the board. You've got to be able to score points to beat this team, because you're probably going to have a hard time containing them offensively.
Flags out again with the snap of the ball. By the way, Mackay Polk has 91 yards receiving.
Toronto, number 62. It's a 5-yard penalty and remains first down.
The left guard Ryan Hunter called on procedure, so stalling out the Argos on this drive. That'll push it back 5 right to the Lions 40.
Mike Miller in his first season as a CFL head coach. Been faced with the challenge, as we've mentioned, of being on the road, being displaced from BMO Field to start the season.
1st and 15 after faking it to Smith, who tried throwing it to him, and there is Sankey right in there, and a few words for the rookie right after that. He puts his sword back in. Darnell Sankey breaking that play up.
A well-timed play on the football there by the veteran middle linebacker.
Just to expand on that thought, just can't say enough about the difference Sankey and Lemon made in their late arrivals to the Alouettes, and that what ended up being a Grey Cup year when they upset the Argonauts in the East Final that year in 2023. Here we go, off to the left. Oh, timed up perfectly. The hit on Mackay Polk, and he is hurt. Ball arriving. That was Stanley Thomas Oliver starting at the boundary corner, and you can see Polk getting some attention down on his knees after that hit by Thomas Oliver just as the ball arrived.
Yeah, as Polk turns out, his focus is on the football. Meanwhile, Thomas Oliver had already made that break and just focused like a heat-seeking missile on the midsection of the receiver. Polk in a vulnerable position as he's trying to make a play on that football.
And meanwhile, Brady Lidster is on. They're going to attempt a field goal. As Polk on the sideline continues to get attention to that hit by Thomas Oliver, the starting boundary corner getting inserted because of the injury to Gary Peters, and what a hit. Just after the ball arrived.
And it's a combination of routes where usually you've got a go route on the inside, outside. With that out route, you're trying to occupy the corner with that go route, taking an outside release, trying to get him to sort of turn his attention away from the out route that's coming. But Thomas Oliver was not fooled at all by that, recognized what was going on, and got a huge jump on Mackay Polk on that one.
Lidster from 47. And the rookie is 3 for 3. Brady Lidster in his first CFL game. And puts 3 more on the board for the Argos, who increase their lead late in the third quarter to 23-6.
Thinking about moving on from the game, Edwards said, you'll figure it out. You always do, and I'm proud of you, whether you're playing the game or whether you're not. He is dedicating the remainder of this season to him, and I'm sure he was watching from up above on that last sack.
Yeah, for a nice family photo there taken at that Grey Cup victory by the Argos in 2017 in Ottawa. He was a part of that team and back with the Boatman. Here's Chase Bryce rolling out, being pursued, and that one heads into the Argo bench. Incomplete on that first down. That's Paris Shan. Saw him earlier making a play, and the rookie involved. In Lemon, 40, breaking in with Calgary. Remember that, winning a Grey Cup in 2014 with the Argos in 17, of course, with the Alouettes in 23.
Yeah, Sean Lemon he's done the tour. The Kevin Glenn of defensive players.
Yeah.
Essentially, Kevin Glenn, who played for all 9 CFL franchises over the course of his career. Sean Lemon's got most of them covered, not quite all.
And back in double blue for a third time. And catching it on the run is Butler up near midfield. And that pass by Bryce, and it's a first down BC, 14-yard pickup.
That quick hitter there for Bryce. And credit Bryce on the previous play as well. I know it sounded like a little frustration from the fans, but the throwaway allowed him to avoid losing yards and protect that field position.
Shorter pass, Isaac D'Arcangelo is right there, and that's Justin McInnes, who in terms of receptions has had a quiet day. That's his first catch for the league's leading receiver a couple of years ago, and one of the top receivers in yardage last year as well.
Objectional conduct against the Toronto bench. It's 10-yard penalty, first down.
So Justin McInnes, after the catch by Justin McInnes, announcing that penalty, the bench penalty against the Argos, that'll move BC further down.
Keep an eye. Yeah, right where the flag was thrown. Defensive coordinator Greg Quick was flagged there just because he was essentially on the field, something they're trying to crack down on a little bit this season.
We saw that earlier this season against Montreal, called for that reason. So it's a 1st and 10 from the Argo 43. It's caught inside the 30 and more. Keon Hatcher. Good tackle there by Bubba Bolden, who could have, if he hadn't got him, Hatcher could have broken away and got a lot closer to the end zone, but it's a big first down for BC, 21 yards.
And a big throw for Chase Bryce. You're going to see him take a hit as he delivers this one, but stands in there. Deliver the strike to Keon Hatcher, the CFL's leading receiver last year. He and McInnes going back-to-back, keeping the receiving title in BC.
Lions are 3 scores down, 17 points. Got to be thinking touchdown even this early. Minute and a half to go till three-quarter time. It is caught down near the 10 as this drive will continue for the Lions. That is Keon Hatcher again, the CFL's leading receiver in 2025. 11 more yards.
Bryce finding a bit of a hot streak here, but critical for the BC Lions. As you heard James Butler mention to Farhan at halftime, that when they get into this territory, it's got to end with 7, not 3.
Chase Bryce going to work here. Final minute, third quarter. Lions pressing with time, but running out of it and falls down. It looked like he could have got away under that pressure, but no. Back at the 20 and lost yardage for the Lions.
Tough break here, creating this second and extra long situation. It is possible for the Lions to get a first down without scoring. It would put them down at about the 1-yard line.
Give Ralph Hawley a sack for that. He was the last one to touch him. And then Bryce went back and stumbled, couldn't keep his feet. So down at the 20, 2nd and 19. And no, in behind, Hatcher falls incomplete. And looks like they're going to have to settle for 3 at the end of this third quarter.
Not enough. Not what they're looking for.
You
In
heard
this situation. Good drive. That's the good news. The bad news, well, the bad news mounting as we have another injured offensive lineman for the BC Lions. Remember, we saw Josh Donovan leave this game in the early going. The Lions only had 6 dressed. So their 6th man, Anu Una, already in the ball game. Defensive lineman Nathan Cherry would be next man up on that BC Lions offensive line.
I believe his alternate number, Cherry, is 91, defensive player, but he would be putting on a 62 jersey if that's the case. Now they're in specials now, of course, with a field goal try coming up, but the next time that they're on offense, we'll see what happens. Already an O-lineman down in the right tackle, Joshua Donovan, so this could be reminiscent. Could be, and we'll wait and see if Yates can come back a little later when they get the ball back. But if that scenario, similar to what the Ticats went through last week. And he is quite hobbled and getting help getting off. Brandon Yates, another injury on the Lions offensive line. Sean White is out, but you heard James Butler, the half, tell Farhan Lalji, we can't be settling for 3s. We need 7s, but they're forced to settle for a 3 right here. And on the last play of the 3rd quarter to get it back within 2 scores in a 14-point game, and it happens off the foot of Sean White. So they get points, but they are still down 14. Heading to the final 15 with Nick Arbuckle at quarterback for the. And so the Argos, after that recent White field goal, take over at their 40 to start the 4th quarter. Toss left, Isaiah Smith, and he has a 5-yard pickup. The rookie from Guelph in a 2nd down.
It'd be interesting to see if the Toronto Argonauts opt for a slightly more conservative approach here. Little ground and pound, keep that clock moving here in the 4th quarter. Limit the number of possessions and opportunities for the BC Lions here.
Mike Miller, first year as head coach, but the previous years, going back to 2022, their quarterbacks coach. Worked with Nick Arbuckle a lot. And Arbuckle standing in. He gets away from Matthew Betts for a moment. He's still running around. He's just going to take off now. And with lots of daylight ahead as he can slide right down around the BC 46. And so a good pickup by the running Nick Arbuckle. We've seen him take off a couple of times.
Yeah, looks like Nick Arbuckle might be in trouble in the pocket here with black jerseys all around him, but somehow comes out in the open, turns it into a big gain for the Toronto Argonauts.
Gained 18. He's got 2 carries for 28. Handing off that time, so they continue to run the football, and that one is down to the 43. That's Isaiah Smith with another carry. And Isaiah Smith, he's been the running back, like on the running plays. We have seen Sam Hicks, number 25, but Smith has got more of the action in this game.
Yeah, seeing his role expand as time goes on in the early going of this Toronto Argonaut season. You know, perhaps the time spent in Guelph for practices for the Argos in the early portion of this 2026 season has helped the rookie to feel a little more comfortable.
Right at home. I mean, he went to university there, and that's when the Argos, being on the road, that's been their home, really. University of Guelph. With
Timeout, Toronto.
for the Argos, some players have commuted from home, but a lot of them, Dwayne, have stayed at Guelph with this extended road trip to start the season.
Yeah, whether it's been sort of hotel or dorm living, some guys have chosen to rent places in Guelph short term for the early part of the season. But you know, kind of a unique thing. You try to make a positive out of it, and added time together, team bonding. Your team becomes your family that much more, I think, in a situation like this.
We take the timeout. It's a 2nd and 6. It's down just outside the 43 of BC. Up 14. Looking for more. Arbuckle, soft toss to the right for Unger, who lets it fall in with Jackson Finley chasing him, but a first down on a nice soft toss dropped in there by Arbuckle.
Yeah, terrific touch put on this football by Arbuckle, just laying it out there. Timing throw that he lets Dave Unger run underneath it, haul it in before going out of bounds beyond the sticks.
Unger, 9 targets, 7 catches for 65 yards. To the 34 of the Lions. 1st and 10. Pressure coming, and he can't get it away. Nick Arbuckle is sacked back at the 42. Parker McKenna, the first-year weak side linebacker for the Lions, making his presence felt again.
You'll see McKenna, the weak side linebacker, just coming straight down the hash, sort of blows up the block of the running back and on into the quarterback situation. Ideally, as the back in there, you'd like to step up and take that one on a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Gives your quarterback an opportunity to move around and make an escape.
2nd and 17, and that one got knocked at the line and falls incomplete. We got a 3rd down coming up, and what would be a long field goal try here for Toronto. And again, the interesting routine pre-kick for Brady Lidster, taking a knee to line that one up. A star at Windsor and the top kicker in Canadian University football last year. He's 3 for 3, and this one from 48 yards out. And that is through as well. What a great start for Brady Lidster from St. Thomas, Ontario. In the injury report, and they brought in from Windsor Brady Lidster, and look at that pre-kick routine for him. He's 4 for 4. He just had one from 48 yards. So BC football, and that one heads out of bounds, intended for Keon Hatcher, with another rookie, Louis-Philippe Gauthier, in on the coverage.
And I mean, interesting to watch the Toronto Argonauts. Obviously, they know they've had some struggles in the kicking game in the early portion of this season, but to kind of see the reaction of the rest of the team to the success that Brady Lidster has had today, you know, they're feeling a little bit of a lift.
And so he's enjoying this first game. By the way, in the BC offensive line, Brandon Yates, injured before, but is back in there. And that's intended for McInnes on the 2nd and 10. And no, they're 2 and out this time around. They'll have to give it up, and they're down again, 17 points, 26-9. The 5th 2 and out for that Lions offense in this game. And Bryce is 14 of 25 for 163.
I'll mention Brandon Yates in there at offensive line. Struggling, though, like to be able to put weight on his injured legs.
Pressure there on the punt by Meyer of 43. Janarian Grant takes it. And it's Xander Horvath who wrestles his down at the Argo 38. Back comes Nick Arbuckle. In for Chad Kelly, and the Argos up 17 points.
With his legs, he's got a live arm. He's very athletic. He showed some improvement as training camp and the preseason went, and I do think organizationally they do want to get a look at this kid.
Okay, we'll watch for Caden Salter here warming up. And there on the sweep is Sam Hicks. We mentioned how he didn't have a touch in terms of running the football. He gets that play from Arbuckle and gets around the edge in a good pickup. 17 yards. It's actually a pass, though, isn't it?
Little shovel to Sam Hicks. An extension of the run game, certainly.
It goes down in the books as a pass.
Yeah. Whatever column you put it in, nice chunky yards there, and a first down for the Toronto Argonauts.
For the first year, Argo running back Sam Hicks up to midfield. And back to Hicks again, and that time just a yard. Matthew Betts in there. And there is the running play to Sam Hicks, but just 1 yard in the book.
And this has been kind of the MO for the Toronto Argonauts here in the 4th quarter, it seems, is just to keep that clock running. BC Lions at this point down 17. They need 3 possessions to have a shot at this football game. The Argos want to limit their opportunity to get those 3 possessions.
Arbuckle the pass on 2nd and 9. It is caught. It's Tyler Common who turns it up and gets a first down. Good yardage after the catch for another one of that group of 5 receivers that have had good seasons so far, productive ones. 11 yards for Tyler Common.
Tyler Common joined the Toronto Argonauts practice roster last September after being released from an NFL tryout with the Indianapolis Colts, a late cut of the Colts, making it through camp in the preseason. Out of Division II Emporia State University, holds virtually every receiving record at that school. But learned the CFL game last year and excelling here in his first game action.
Isaiah Smith, the ball carrier, nothing there at all. Casey Sales, who came over to BC this year from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, started his career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Casey Sales, a great addition. The interior of that defensive line, you mentioned Dwayne Hendricks had been with the BC Lions. He moves on as Casey Sales became available. Trying to get someone to complement Matthew Betts coming off the outside.
2nd and 12, and it's the fullback Jack Cassar, most notably on special teams. Cassar with a rare touch, and after the catch he works it down to the 35, but there's still a couple of yards shy of a first down.
I love seeing Jack Cassar.
Of course you do.
Not just because he's a fullback, but because he is a first-year fullback, a guy, a great special teamer, as you mentioned. We're going to look here at the routine of Brady Lidster, but Cassar, a guy who's been a linebacker, just made the move to fullback this season, so really his first opportunity to touch the rock in the Canadian Football League.
Had been a linebacker out of Carleton several years in the league. You saw that pre-kick routine for Lidster. It's been working, and no, that time it is right upright, so hits that dead ball. So they're in at quarterback for his first taste of CFL action. And throwing right away, and it's complete too. Just over midfield, and the first catch there for Justin McInnes. Or his second one, excuse me, but the other one was a short one, and he had hardly been involved in the offense so far. So right away. Across midfield, they work tempo. Salter. Deep ball. Just over the top of Jermaine Jackson.
Caden Salter quickly collecting his first CFL completion. Hitting Justin McInnes across the middle. Might have had a completion on the second one had it been McInnes's big frame he was throwing to down that left sideline.
In his first year out of Colorado, Caden Salter, heard Farhan talk about him, the athleticism. He can take off and run as well if things break down in the pocket. Things were stalling with Chase Bryce in his first CFL start, so they're going to see what he can do here with Salter. Throwing again and caught. Good hands hanging on as McInnes, who took a shot after the ball arrived. But Lions are quickly on the move here, and another first down and 15 yards.
McInnes, inside receiver on the play.
Down 17, working quickly inside the 40, bobbles the snap, gets it back, and is scrambling to the left, and he takes off and he sneaks through the first tackle and gets a couple of more yards. Just a look there of the running ability of Caden Salter.
Yeah, well, I think the fans are feeling a little bit of a lift from Caden Salter entering this ball game. Couple of quick completions. And now a run for a first down. Good start for the young quarterback here.
And Chase Bryce, 14 of 25, 163. They had some drives getting closer, but stalled out, had to settle for field goals in a game where you can't afford to be trading that way. Bryce got the start. He played most of the game last week in Edmonton, minus the first 2 plays. He was on the second play on offense for BC when Nathan Rourke got hurt. But knew all week he would be the starter coming into this game.
Well, now with the ball in Caden Salter's hands, he finds himself in the same situation. They've moved the football into a position to score. Let's now see if, with Salter at the helm, if they're able to finish.
Timer, please reset the clock to 4 minutes, 15 seconds. 4:15.
They had initially moved the sticks as if it's a first down, but it turns out it is short on the Salter run by just a few inches. But you're right, they're in touchdown territory now. They're down 17 points. And he did not get there. That was a second down in inches, but Salter trying to run it in. There's a lot of pressure. Jonathan Kongbo in there along with Ralph Hawley.
Argo D all over that one. Situation where BC really didn't want to make any substitutions. Offensively, just wanted to try and get the sticks moved as quickly as possible, but here beefing up a little bit to go after it.
3rd and inches, and this time Salter jumps. He didn't need much, and it looks like he would have enough with that lunge to pick up the BC first down. 3.5 minutes to go. 17 points down, 3 scores. Got to work fast. They still don't have a touchdown in this game, and they need one now as Buck Pierce calls a timeout with 3:15 to go.
We should mention in the BC Lions quarterback picture, they also signed
Timeout.
CFL
BC.
veteran Tyree Adams.
Timer, please reset the clock to
Spent the first few
3:18.
years of his CFL career with the Ottawa Red Blacks. Brought Tyree Adams in this week. The signing I quite like. I've always sort of believed in the potential of Tyree Adams in this league, but just his opportunity largely limited by injuries to this point.
There he is. Remember talking to Lapo about him. Paul Lapalese had, I believe, scouted him or was following him at Western Carolina. That's going back into, I think, the days when Lapo was with Winnipeg. And he ends up in Ottawa. And, you know, twist of fate, he got a start. And when so many quarterbacks went down in 2023, and he won it against Edmonton, but he suffered an ACL injury, and his season was over right after a CFL win. This is his 7th play of the drive with Caden Salter at quarterback. Under pressure, gets rid of it. It's nearly intercepted. Coming in, Deshaun Amos on Salter is at quarterback. And 3 minutes to go. They're inside the 30 for the Argos. They got to find the end zone. And a high throw off the fingertips and falls into the secondary again. Fortunate for the Lions that it wasn't intercepted.
Yeah, Salter certainly wanting that throw back, recognizing he had a receiver there, but that one just got away from him. So it's going to be the field goal unit coming on for the BC Lions.
Well, as said, the Lions need 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So this has kind of been the story of this game, though, where they get down into scoring position and have to settle 4 threes. And a busier night for Sean White as the veteran Lions kicker punches that through. So a 4th field goal for White. 12 on the board, but still 14 points down with just under 3 minutes to go. Which begs the question, are we in onside kick country now? There's Dennis McKnight, the new special teams coordinator.
Yeah, I'm actually kicking deep in this situation and try and get a quick 2 and out, get the ball back in decent field position at this point.
Dennis McKnight used to play for the San Diego Chargers back in the days of Dan Fouts in the early 80s. He's coached in the CFL, a few spots, most recently with the Hamilton Tiger Cats last year. His counterpart is Mickey Donovan, special teams coordinator for the Argos.
Yes, we're told that when Coach McKnight joined the Lions a couple weeks ago, the volume level at practice.
Yeah. We had a chance to talk to him in the pregame interviews last year when he was with Hamilton. He's quite a character. Great conversation and great stories from his travels in football as player and coach. So special teams here. Carl Meyer, the kicker. Let's see what they do. They're kicking it deep. 2:50 on the clock. Argos have the ball. And that's DeMonte Coxey, who's been back there with Janeri and Brandon. Coxey gets it up across the 30. So now it's up to the BC defense, needing to force Toronto, I would think, to very quick possession. Mike Benavides, the leader of that defense. 2 and out. It'd be nice if they can get the ball back. But as said, they still have to do something on offense they haven't done all game, and that's score a touchdown.
And we've seen Toronto for much of this second half lean on their run game a little bit more, and I genuinely believe that's more of a game situation thing. I mean, you're not shortening your playbook because it's Nick Arbuckle at quarterback.
Sam Hicks, the running back, and picks up about 5 yards.
And Sam Hicks and Isaiah Smith having shared the load in that backfield. Fullback Jack Cassar getting a little more action here as they go into 2-back mode.
And that's Tucker Horn, number 5, beside head coach Mike Miller, the 3rd-string quarterback. Back to the ground, flags come out. Not much doing there. So depending on the flag, could this be the 2 and out that the Lions desperately need?
Offside, Toronto, number 86. Penalties declined, 3rd down.
So the Lions will get the ball back. 2:13 on the clock. The stand they needed, but Caden Salter, who just had his first reps as a CFL quarterback, will be coming back on with a very big task for that Lions offense. Jaden Williams, the lone returner, back. And James Burnup, his 2nd game with the Argos, standing at his 20 to get this one away. The Argos head into a bye next week, and then they get home sweet home when they'll be at BMO Field to host the Calgary Stampeders the 1st week of August. Wanted to get there with a win. 57-yard punt. Here's Jaden Williams. And he is hit hard. That's Sebastian Parcelidis over to Wilfred Laurier, and that special teams tackle, one of the Argo rookies there on Williams.
And Parcelidis, late-round pick out of Wilfred Laurier, fullback, making his presence felt here on special teams. Officials try to sort things out down below. Get another look at Parcelidis.
When a rookie on special teams gets a chance, you want to make the most of it, right?
Absolutely. You know, not a big dude, and that's really the main reason he slipped in the draft, is because of his height, not necessarily a big body at fullback, but as a person who played the position, I can tell you I greatly enjoyed watching the film.
During the return, illegal block, BC number 40. It's 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Anyway, enjoyed watching Parcelidis knock people around as a blocker in his college highlight film.
Got him not only drafted, but, you know, around the league. Only a small percentage of the draft picks end up getting a chance to play in their first year, and he gets a moment right there here in Vancouver, and a penalty on Thibaut Debaye pushes them deeper for Salter. Under pressure, steps up, they've got him. Caden Salter down, and look who it is again. His 2nd sack of the game. Sack number 105 in his career of Sean Lemon in his first game back with the Argos.
Timeout, BC.
Lemon coming from the top of your screen, recognizes what's happening as the quarterback tries to step up, redirects. Been there, done that.
Well, this Lions offensive line has been under siege today, losing the right tackle Josh Donovan. Brandon Yates got hurt, but came back into the game. Number 59, the left guard, and a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks. And BC, a four-man rush. Salter quickly gets rid of it, and it's Nick Senecal targeted there and just couldn't hang on, and no doubt wanted to catch the ball and turn things up, but it goes incomplete. It's third down.
And with the field position, no choice but to punt for the BC Lions here with 1:35 to go.
That's the 6th 2-and-out for the Lions on this night against Toronto. Punt by Meyer. Janarian Grant into the Lions zone to the 49 after a 48-yard punt by Carl Meyer.
Yeah, flag came down near the Argo bench basically just as the returner caught the football. No one was really in that territory in coverage yet. I suspect it'll go against the Toronto Argonauts.
Illegal substitution, Toronto, number 83. It's a 10-yard penalty, and we'll repeat third down.
So that's David Unger, who had been back there with Janarian Grant as a returner. So they're to repeat the third down and have the Lions punt it again. Or would they go now?
The offense is on. They're going to go for it at 3rd and 1.
Yeah, and you know, must admit, with this much time left, needing 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Wondering why they weren't going for it even then. But yeah, 3rd and 1, definitely. So that penalty does make a difference. They're 1 for 2 in third down gambles, and that's Salter, and pushes his way across the 20. So sticks do move, but the clock's the enemy, and it's counting. It's 122 right now, but 26-12 is the Argos getting closer to improving their record to 3-4, and this has been a difficult start for Buck Pierce. Now, it was a rough one at the beginning of his first season last year, and then they really turned it on. We're talking about how well they played here at BC Place down the stretch. Ended up with 2nd place in hosting Calgary West Semi, and moved on and nearly beat Saskatchewan to advance to the Grey Cup. So caught there, close to a first down, but going to be thinking bigger plays right now for Caden Salter.
And you're recognizing the situation from a defensive perspective. The Argos just going 4-man rush, trying to blanket receivers in coverage, making sure that they don't give up any big chunks of yardage here. The distance that BC has to go and how little time they have to do it. The Argos are content to allow them to make some plays underneath, but just won't give up the big one.
And didn't even give up that underneath yardage too, as we're down to another 3rd and 1. And BC Lions are just running out of time. Still in their own zone at their 29. Throwing on this 3rd and 1. It's caught. It's a first down to McInnes up at the 34, but 50 seconds only. And the Argos still comfortably in front. The Argos will head into a bye, and given the injuries, a few of them, notably quarterback Chad Kelly, I'm sure they could use the break before they go back to BMO. And that one's a bit too far for Nick Senecal again. 44 seconds. Miracles can happen, but this sure looks like an Argonaut victory now for Mike Miller to improve to 3-4. And big for them, too, because Hamilton is playing tomorrow night in Montreal. And the Alouettes on top of the division at 5-1. And for the Lions, It's tough, especially with Calgary winning in Winnipeg last night. BC 0-3 start, split a pair with Edmonton, and looking at a 1-5 start to the season. Caden Salter trying to find a receiver. He does underneath. Kieran Poisson eventually gets swarmed and tackled, and 32 seconds only left.
Opportunity here in terms of learning and teaching moment for Buck Pierce and Caden Salter, just in terms of managing the clock, running a hurry up offense, and so on. You take some value from this.
Caught in behind by Hatcher up near midfield, but only 25 seconds left. Not to make excuses for either of these teams, but these are the two hardest hit by the schedule, with the World Cup occupying their stadiums. Long stretches on the road, and Nathan Rourke hurt in Edmonton last week. Every team deals with injury issues, of course. This for BC. Losing Rourke and losing a tackle. The Argos have lost players. The injury, Jonathan Kongbo, the latest getting attention now, down on a knee. But as said, the Argos could certainly relate to the Lions. Happy to finally get home, although they're not getting the result they would have counted on. But the Argos too, after that time, and finally get to go home for their next game. And not a bad debut for that young man, Brady Lidster. His CFL debut, standing in for Liram Hairolau. And there's James Burnup, who just arrived last week after an injury to John Haggerty. So new punter and holder and a new kicker. And they did pretty well tonight. 4 for 5, and a good night to start things there for Lidster.
No doubt about that. Brady Lidster out of the University of Windsor.
Longer pass and a beautiful catch by McInnes. In tight coverage as well as they hurry up over the ball. 17 seconds now on the clock. And they get it down to the 31. Nice catch.
I mean, we've seen Justin McInnes in his career do so many impressive things, but I think every catch he's made here late in this ball game has come with an immediate hit of some kind, but always hangs on to the rock.
In a 23, but ticking away. We're just about done here. Horvath. Ralph Hawley gives him a push, but Xander Horvath going down, and we're down to the last play. 2 seconds on the clock. And the BC Lions are about to fall to 1-5. And they're in Winnipeg next Thursday night. A short week for the Lions. And a big West showdown, especially now, as they don't want to fall any further behind. We don't know about Nathan Rourke. They're saying weeks, not months, with the shoulder injury. How soon? They had him on injury reserve coming in so he could continue to take part in activities with the team. They still don't know when he'll be back. Salter. End zone look. Close to the end zone. On the final play, and pushed back to the 6. And no touchdown signaled on a night they just could not get a major score. And it stays that way. Ball game over. Caden Salter got a taste of CFL play, and Nick Arbuckle, that backup quarterback, has had plenty of chances in the CFL and fills in. Did what he had to do for Chad Kelly, and they had the lead. And Sean Lemon also getting a taste of the CFL again, his first game back with the Argos.
And maybe this is the